Universal Pathways. This is a show brought to viewers worldwide right here on Saturdays from 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Okay. Thought it was live. Yeah, no, we're not. Oh, apologies. I do believe we're live. Okay, again, welcome to Universal Pathway. This is a show brought to viewers worldwide right here on Millennium TV News 24. I'm your host, Curtis Douglas Eel, and you can view us live on your apps, Android devices, or go to your app store and download the Millennium TV 24 News app. Also, view us live on Roku, Apple TV, Amazon Fire Stick, all smart TV, and globally, our viewers can view us on by way of satellite as well, on Horizon Satellite Beyond Boundaries. Today, I have a very unique individual in the studio. Oh, might I add as well, Facebook Live, in addition to go to our website at www.millenniumtv24.com. I was challenged by someone recently, right? And they said, hey, you've been doing this show long enough, and you should be able to say all that without looking at this paper, right? So my goal today is, Curtis, stop looking at the paper. I should be able to know what it is that I'm saying. So with that being said, I was able to do just that. And sometime here in the studio, we do have some technical difficulties in going live. So that's the beauty of everyone who basically is a part of a production going live. They understand exactly what I'm saying. So with that being said, forgive your brother if the intro was a little choppy. As we grow, we'll unfold, because we are that bud that's unfolding. With that being said, it's a true honor to be here in the studio with someone who I consider a friend, as well as who I look up to and build at times to get different perspective when it comes to business venture as well. She's an entrepreneur. She's also, I say spiritualist, but she said what? No, wellness advocate, and also chaplain. Chaplaincy, because she's done a lot as it pertains to preparing our people as well when it comes to various different emergency that we might have. She worked with the chaplaincy under Bishop Maldonado, a very prominent individual here in New York and operating in other states as well. But I just want to give him some credit because it plays a lot into her chaplaincy and her experience as a human being. But with that being said, who is Grier Bowen Wright-Bey? Not only is she a friend, not only is she somebody who I look up to get advice, but from an entrepreneurial perspective, she's done a lot of business ventures. Her niece and nephew, Amari and Amia, looks up to her because she too, as an entrepreneur, is getting them started very young and early in their age. She's a Moorish American and very proud at that as well. She's all about family, so much so that her legacy as an entrepreneur continues based on her late husband, Mr. Richard Wright, known globally as I2D. DJ, musician, an individual who've put together networks. And a lot of people who we know throughout Trinidad and different places like that actually owes credit to her husband. So she's the type of sister that she's been behind her husband, very quiet. And that's why I brought out that entrepreneurship, because she's all that he was. It is said that behind every great man, there's a great woman. And the sister is very quiet, but the energy that she brings is of such where she needs to be heard. The whole idea of universal pathway is this. We all have a universal perspective to the one. Whatever you call that one God, the energy that animates us, that got us out of bed today, that have us moving around and having our being. So behind every great man, there's a great woman. And she embodied what that is, the feminine energy behind her late husband. So with that being said, she's carrying on that legacy as an entrepreneur. Whether it be her contact team in Trinidad or even here locally, many times you'll find her at food pantries giving out food. making sure that our people are fed. I too have volunteered with her in Brooklyn to give out foods at local food pantries as well. So from a charity perspective, huge heart. And that's why I said spiritually, the sister is in tune. But I allow her to speak to that today. But when we say wellness advocate, this is somebody who have struggled silently and have beaten illnesses and assisted others to beat certain illnesses as well. And when we say that by means of knowing how to treat your body temple, by no means are we giving information today that goes against any organization out there. No, that is not the intent. Our intent today here on Universal Pathway is to showcase a young lady who she literally embodied. Before she tells anybody anything, do know she's already experimented with herself. It's very humbling being around individuals such as Grier Bowen Wright-Bey, because she holds you accountable by just being herself. So with that being said, to our viewers worldwide and right here in the United States, right here on Universal Pathway, it's truly an honor to be your host and have in the studio today, Grier Bowen Wright-Bey. How you doing today, beloved?
I give thanks. I give love and honor to you. I give thanks to you.
Thank you.
That was a huge introduction. I am honored. Give thanks to you.
Same here, beloved. Same here.
Yes.
It's truly an honor. So I know I was a little bit all over the place in doing this intro today.
Well, I'm going to say this. It is a very humbling space to, way to be with you. We dialogue all the time about a plethora of things and just life in of itself and, our people.
Yes.
So I want to give much honor to you and your works as you have been unfolding, all of these different aspects of your life and how you show up. You show up every day, just being able to build upon the blocks. And I am in awe of all that you do for our people. And likewise, your family, and I'm grateful to be a part of what that extension is, So being here, I've made it to Universal Pathways with Curtis Douglas Hill. I give thanks humbly.
Honest to you, beloved. Honest. Thank you for those kind words.
Yes, grateful.
But yes, anything that I've not said in the intro, please let our audience know.
Who's Grier Bowen Wright-Bey?
Yes.
I am firstly a child of the Most High God, divinely put to do the will for humanity. Most times we are we struggle to recognize our purpose here.
Yes.
And I'm grateful that the universe allowed me to be able to stand in the spaces that serve humanity best.
Mm-hmm.
And so as things unfold, I am basically continuously just amazed by how the right people show up
Yes.
at the right time, because you're sitting, I believe in sitting in my femininity.
Yes.
And what that represents, having been a part of Queen Afua's, organization, and also Queen Esther with the Moonity team,
Okay.
So it's a group of sisters that, you get to learn a lot more about sisterhood. I didn't know what that was. I was that lone wolf, just doing my own thing over time. And I'm grateful for the experiences that allow me to be in a place of wellness and just be able to share that with those I encounter along the way. So grateful.
All right.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Queen Esther and Queen Afua.
Yes.
And you mentioned the moon circle?
Well, with Queen Esther, I'm sorry, let's go back. Queen Afua, sacred women.
Yes.
And so, in what that was, it's just really and truly women learning to sit in their femininity and deal with whatever their traumas have been in their lives, and to be able to manifest or to unfold rather, how we are divinely put as women, right? As women, as I should say. We are supposed to sit in the seat that allow us to be the healers in our home,
yes.
right? We have come into a construct where we've been taught that we have to go to the hospital first. The first hospital is at home. You know, you're you're curating all of the things that your family need, a fever, a cold, all these things. That's the true essence of what healing, where it should begin. You know, your kitchen is where it is the magic happens.
Yes.
To being able to create, just create the things to help heal the family. So Sacred Women helps with what that looks like. I'm part of what's called the Immunity Team, under Queen Esther. Yes. And she has been that den mother when it is that I have needed, because, people tend to think that when you're strong, you don't need to have someone, step in your step and be able to stand in the stead for you.
Yes.
She's that den mother. She's that mother that comes looking for you.
Okay.
So grateful to be able to have mentors that you can reach out to or will reach out to you when it is that you go missing and you're silently healing. I tend to be that person that, goes off script and figure it out on my own. But she's like, no, mama, come on back in, so grateful for her. Queen Esther, if you listen to this, I'm not wearing blue lipstick, but I make sure to put some blue on me to represent who she is.
Yes.
I wrap my hair with some blue in it just for Queen Esther, so, but yes, grateful for what that looks like. But I would say that I stand here, or I sit here rather today as my mother's daughter, in her virtuous way. Grateful for being able to come into this contract for it, as her child.
Yes.
And I'm grateful to have had, a warrior father who represented well from the island of Trinidad and Tobago. So that's where I hail from.
Okay.
However, I am a child of the universe, and
Yes.
I give thanks for what that looks like.
Wow.
Yes.
Well, Sid, I just want to say honors to your mom as well. Her mom name is Norma, Miss Norma Bowen. And interestingly enough, both her mom and my mom share the same first name,
Yes.
Norma. So, beautiful, warm household that produce such a beautiful being such as yourself. So you speak about being a wellness advocate, also being an entrepreneur. But we just want to connect that, and we kind of touch on the chaplaincy a little bit later on. But your husband passed a few years back, and you've been given this legacy. And we want to speak to that a little bit because the question of today's show, Universal Pathway, our goal is to learn from someone who not only did she have to grieve her husband, but she had to take over an influence that reached global reach.
Yeah.
So much so that recently we saw where she now has to manage an empire, legacy, where others are attempting to utilize his name, his identity, etc. So who we're speaking about? We're speaking about Mr. Richard Wright, aka I2D, a very prominent radio personality, TV personality, somebody who brought jingles and commercial, the voice of a commercial. He had that voice in Trinidad. So like she said, she has the Trinidad background, and she was the sister behind the scene. But don't get it twisted. Behind the scene does not mean inactive. And she now had in her lap, in her reach, and under her trust, an entire business.
Yes.
How is that going?
I would say that for me, I had to take a couple steps back because what he built, it wasn't about the individual self. It took place of us actually even starting a family onto our own. That was his baby.
Okay.
Right? That's what he birthed well over 18 years ago.
Wow.
Right? And so when we talk about what Lava TV and Iswe.com represents, it helped breed local TV stations here. I'm sorry, radio stations here in New York City. He was very instrumental in, and let's just add that he's a production engineer. Yes. So, and what that has been, he literally helped to cultivate careers like bungee garland, Benjai, treasons, as far as the more known Caribbean soca industry within the soca industry. He has been instrumental in helping further radio stations in Trinidad and Tobago. Uh, One that most people who are from Trinidad and Tobago will be aware of is Chinese Laundry. Yes, so his brand is he's very humble. Was a very humble man
Mhm.
in all of his endeavors and very prideful in his work. So it has been big to step into the shoes of someone who was, I would say, a prodigy child.
Mm-hmm.
Because all the things that he learned and he brought into the fold were light years ahead of where we happen to be.
Yes.
Yes, he. Let's just talk about Facebook. We had FaceTime. He created FaceTime before Facebook had FaceTime.
Wow.
He decided that we were going to create an app for people to be able to actually shop for other people and go into the grocery stores and to call the cabs 15 plus years ago.
Wow.
Right? So
Uber and Uber Eats.
all of what that looks like 15
Wow.
plus years ago. And the vision, people like, oh, that's not going to work. Myself included was like, babe, I don't want anybody else squeezing my oranges and picking off my fruit, and
Wow.
look where we are today
Yes.
and what that looked like. But a visionary beyond his time. And so it has been a challenge for me to be able to actually say, I can entrust anyone to come on board and be a part of what that looks like, with all certainty that they didn't have ill intent.
Mhm.
So I have been waiting for direction from the universe to be able to help guide me along the path of being able to, if I may, just build upon the legacy that he has left with us.
Wow.
Yes.
She said a lot. Interestingly enough, I don't want to put a specific name out there, but I recently read an article. It's a young man who has a $14 billion AI company.
Mm-hmm.
And he said a similar thing that you just said, which is he wanted to get his idea out and get it out fast before somebody else actually beat him to the punch.
Mm-hmm.
And it's unfortunate to say, we live in a time period in this information age where when you have intellectual property and ideas, like you said, he was a prodigy, he was way ahead of his time, where some of our people can actually see what's about to happen because of just the strong nature of causality within themselves, right?
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes they're misunderstood.
Mm-hmm.
But we still live in a world where we have children who have those capabilities.
Yes.
So you've been exposed to someone and you now have the capability to identify
Mm-hmm.
people who are gifted and now realize the environment that we now need to nurture that. And that's a part of what the feminine energy really is all about, that creative energy.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Speak to that as well, because the potential is still there, because he made connections in Africa.
That he did.
They're still calling you as it pertains to what that looks like,
Mm-hmm.
and futuristically, how to continue some of the connections that he made.
That's a bit difficult to actually express, if I'm being really sincere
Yes.
about what that is. We live in a time where what he brought to the fold goes unappreciated and overlooked because of the color of our skin,
Yes. Okay.
right? He was one who connected with people in India as well,
Yes.
right? What we brought forward, even in terms of what our station represents, it represented connecting folks globally.
Wow.
It represented, it represents correction, point of
Yes.
correction. It represents being able to connect people globally to, in a space where it's safe enough to say that we're working for humanity,
Mhm.
right? What he began working on the continent of Africa, and I'm gonna be very vague because as
Understood.
we are nurturing certain things,
Yes.
we need to be able to protect what that looks
Yes,
like.
yes.
Yes. You know, not saying that it's a secret, but it's one of those things where it is that we have to be able to protect the energies.
Yes, it's held sacred. Yes.
You know, Ito was a forward moving person individual, and he did not take for granted each moment in every day. And as you helped me to understand, um, we utilized the word earlier to describe, the space that he ended up in, where his visual his visual take, we expressed it earlier.
Yes, yes.
And his ability to be able to see inwardly, as opposed to what the carnality of that represented.
Correct.
People think that when it is that you see with your outward eye, what's being represented outwardly is your true vision, but it's what's inside.
That is so correct.
And he was that. His music. I have to definitely put it out there. I have to basically put it out because it's everything that we're going through right now in humanity. I'm not quite sure that I answered your question, but the goal is to be able to, in this here now moment, be able to wake the sleeping giant.
Yes.
And be able to pour out the love that he basically built over these years. So yes.
So keep in mind, we're here with the widow to Mr. Ito D, Mrs. Grier Bowen Wright-Bey, and her husband was a giant in small form, but a giant.
Mm-hmm.
But like she said, some ideas are better off not being put out there because it's considered trade secrets, in the sense that we need to move wisely as to what needs to get done as some of these visions unfold. So with that being said, we're going to hear more about just her entrepreneurial drive as well as her wellness advocacy when we come back after this commercial. Stay right here with us. We're just going to a 1-minute commercial. Welcome, viewers in America and those worldwide. This is Universal Pathway, and I'm your host, Curtis Douglas Hill. With our show, viewers get to hear our guests share their life lessons from a universal perspective so others can benefit. You can view us live at MillenniumTV24.com Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're on all iOS and Android devices via our app. You can also view us on all smart TVs, Sony, Samsung, LG, also on Amazon, Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, Horizon Satellite, and most social media such as Facebook and YouTube. Please encourage others to come and view us with an open mind. Welcome back. Welcome back. I am Curtis Douglas Hill, and this is Universal Pathways. And I'm here in the studio with Miss Grier Bowen Wright. And prior to the commercial just now, we were speaking about some of the vastness of the ideas that her late husband, Mr. Ito D, Richard Wright, had. In life, many times, we have among us giants. And sometimes these giants are misunderstood. Sometimes we live and see their ideas unfold in front of us, and we're wondering, why is it that someone else is able to carry out this idea? I asked her a question prior to the commercial, and she rightfully so, she didn't quite answer the question, but I see why. Because certain things are better off not said because of the nature. We're speaking about somebody whose identity literally has been stolen since he's passed form. Yet she must now continue his legacy. That's pretty challenging. So we're living in a world where not everybody's honest, yet this is Universal Pathways. We can learn wisdom from every single thing that we're exposed to. And today she's here to share with us her life and her perspective in hope that others might not have the same outcomes that can be deemed negative, because now we're learning from those experiences, right?
Yes.
She's also a wellness advocate. She's also a chaplain. But we also want her to speak to some of her entrepreneurial ventures as well, as to what the motivation from her husband is today.
Wow. Well, when I became unwell in 2012, and what that looked like, the challenges that were presented with that led me back to source, but ABCs then,
Yes.
right, which is holistic health. And from 2012 until he transitioned or he graduated from this realm in 2022, I dealt with what that looked like in terms of helping him to preserve his health,
Yes.
and being able to unfold into new spaces with what that looked like. So it's allowed me to go back into my bag, right, and pull out what it means to live off the land, be able to connect to source, be able to connect to what the community, the wellness community is. So, with what those challenges represented, I continued along that pathway. It was not an easy journey, because at a point in healing him and all that I had to take on,
Yes.
I became unwell. And it's not a matter of, we all go through challenges. It's not a matter of how wellness, like in what that looked like.
Yeah.
It's a matter of when it actually happens.
Yes.
It's something that's always going to actually come forward, that is going to challenge us to grow into new spaces.
Indeed.
So a health challenge became where it is that we grew into new spaces. So I became unwell in 2017. I was diagnosed with pancreatic and splenic cancer.
Mm-hmm.
And I use the word diagnosed as opposed to I had. Many times when it is the doctor tells us that you have this particular dis-ease, we run with that and say, I have diabetes. You have none of those things, brothers and sisters. Let us just be clear. It is a diagnosis, and it is simply your body telling you that you need to ease it. This ease is a disconnection between spirit self, between the physical body, and your ability to be able to continue in the fashion that you have been, or the path that you've been going on.
Yes.
So for me, cancer represented, I would tell people all the time, cancer is simply an eating up of oneself from the inside out. Right? And as diabetes, it is literally folks feeling a sense of losing the sweetness or the essence or what drives them in their lives. Every dis-ease is attached to a trauma, and Western medicine does not necessarily make that correlation between the two. So it is for us to pick up the mantle, for us as a womb men, to be able, and as we sit in our femininity, to be able to actually harness those energies and truly seek healing differently than we've been taught. We've been conditioned. Yes. This ease isn't something that you should fear, but be able to embrace it as your body setting an alarm clock.
Mm-hmm.
And it's saying, now you need to pay more attention to this. Kind of like your gas, and your car is going to tell you if you run out of gas.
Yes,
your body's telling you
yes.
that you're running out of health. Your direction is you need to pivot.
Yes, the life force energy. Yeah.
Right. So for me, when I received that diagnosis, I immediately connected and contacted my naturopathic doctor, who I hold near and dear to my heart and my spirit. I know how he showed up for me and how my community showed up for me, because I recognized that in that moment, I needed to surrender. I I was doing this. I was running here. I was running there. I was doing everything for everyone else. But what was I doing for Grier?
Wow.
I was everybody else's savior. So I needed to be saved.
Wow.
And the Calvary is not coming. I'm her. So I had to put my big girl panties on, for lack of a better way to express that, and be able to actually do just that.
Yes.
So at that particular point, my husband, I took him to the Caribbean to be able to get some healing, but he decided he wanted to work, and he was doing what he does best in terms of the studio, the radio station, and no one would know that he was visually challenged externally,
Yes.
right? But his vision, the fluidity of what that vision was internally was so connected to source. So I am grateful for what both of our experiences were in those moments. For me, coming through pancreatic and stomach cancer is something that people say it ain't possible. Western doctors are still in this day here and now moment telling me that it couldn't possibly have been that because you didn't go through the normal channels of what healing looked like, right? But we have to be able to stay connected to ourselves and do the things that's necessary to understand that healing happens on a cellular level, and it requires us to step away from what the norm is and be able to truly connect with self. So my project, just to speak true to what I'm doing, I have a nonprofit that's geared towards cancer. It's called Cancer Warriors Fight, and I am also working on a project where we are creating a wellness retreat to be able to allow people to go off the beaten path and be able to experience what that is. All of these are in the making. So I don't necessarily have enough information to share with other than to say, hey, stay tuned to my Instagram, I'm Warrior Spirit 13, and you'll be able to find me there as I basically begin to work on what that looks like. But as a whole, just know that cancer is not a death sentence. Is what my biggest message is. Cancer is not a death sentence. It's a warning. It's simply saying that you need to work this back. You need to be able to forgive. You need to be able to let go of whatever it is that has been holding you down on the inside. Whether this was a bad marriage, maybe you've been sexually violated, whatever it is, a disconnection with your parents. We have to be able to forgive within self, forgive those outside of self, and forgive self.
Yes.
And when we forgive self, there is a fluidity. When you truly forgive self, there's a surrender that happens that allows the fluidity to happen between you and source. And there's no external individual or being that can tell you that your expiration date is this particular time frame. You decide that by absorbing the information that they're attempting to basically impart onto you. So it's your job now to be able to connect to the energies and to the right people to be able to help you harness what true healing looks like.
Yes.
True healing requires you to be able to actually remove fear and know that what looks like an end is truly a bend. Truly a bend. But you have to walk that walk.
Wow.
Unless you're willing to walk the walk, you will never know. So I'm just, working towards being a voice, but saying that it ain't over. And it is only over if you allow somebody else to own your energy and tell you what is. So that's where we are right now.
Wow. Chief said a lot, and there's so much in what you just said to really unpack. But it's a beautiful thing to know. We have ones out there who are facing these imbalances with courage, knowing that there's no quote unquote dead sentence. Is what you accept first mentally.
Yes.
Right? So the mental plays a huge role. Even being reminded that your late husband was able to now see from the realm of soul.
Yes.
Like he was a visionary.
Yes.
And that inner causality of his vision, he was now able to see the future.
Yeah. Yes.
So sometimes it's not necessarily seeing the reflection with these physical eyes,
Yes.
because it's all about cause and effect.
Absolutely.
And we've seen here, you've come to the realization that to change the effect, the symptomology of what now is deemed and labeled these diseases, doesn't matter the name of the disease. It has to do with something that you've now held on to traumatically.
Yeah.
So you mentioned different type of traumas that each individual might have experienced And you gotta see what it is. And once we see what it is, we can now neutralize it
Yes.
by not giving it power, because the fear eats. It's just energy.
Yes.
Versus the faith,
Yes.
knowing that you're going to get through this,
Yes.
knowing that is how you process the information. It's
Absolutely.
not about someone outside of you physically, but how you process the information internally.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
And I want to preface that by saying that by no means are we saying here today that people should not visit the doctor. That's first.
Good. Yes.
Yes, because you have to know what's going on in order to be able
Most
to
definitely.
change
Yes.
the outcome.
Correct.
Right? So it was important to me to be able to know, to go ahead and get blood work done, to go ahead and take those particular tests that were necessary for me to be able to say, okay, well, I'm dealing with this particular mass that they say was the size of a volleyball.
Yes.
And how do you deal with what that looks like, Grier? Okay, what are the things, what are the issues that you may have had that you've been holding on to? Sometimes it is we hold on to relationships that you have with folks where you expected so much of them and they let you down, and you grieve inwardly about all of those experiences, and they pick up space in your head.
Yes.
Yes, and in picking up that space in your head, they are literally, or real estate rather, in your head, and you literally forget about self. You struggle with things that you shouldn't struggle with. So when the doctors said to me that, hey, you don't have an option other than to do surgery, I was like, oh, my divine self did not say that. And I took it upon myself to be able to say, okay, great, what do you do first, second, and third?
Yes.
And I did what that was. I removed any energies from my space that didn't serve my highest good purpose. I didn't have conversations with people who wanted to tell me about their auntie, cousin who may have had cancer and died. That energy wasn't going to serve what I'm working toward.
Correct.
I stopped answering my phone. If you were not on my bus looking to help me to be able to do what I did not answer phone calls that weren't necessary for what my aim was. So it was important for me to understand that even though I'm dealing with something that have potentially taken the lives of so many people, thousands and thousands, we're now at a time where the CDC actually also says that, 1 in 2 persons will be diagnosed with some type of cancer in this lifetime. And having recognized that, that's a heed to the call of helping folks to recognize how to deal with what this looks like. For me, I dealt with it with love. Wow. I got to the point of telling cancer that I loved it.
Wow, that's deep.
It took some time to get there.
Yeah.
But initially, my conversation with the Most High God was, you said I should knock. I am knocking. You said I should seek. I am seeking. Wow. You said I should ask. So I am asking. People say don't question God. Well, you better have learned to actually ask some questions, some hard questions to resonate on a higher level. And I literally said, well, show me that you're God. And God showed me, prior to that, I'll walk it back a little bit. I was feeling sorry for myself. I'm like, oh, well, why me? Mm-hmm. But then Spirit said, why not me? Why not me? What makes you so much special than, Jesus, as they say, died on the cross? What makes you more special than anybody else that you cannot be diagnosed with something? So I called my best friend and I said, you're going to find my journal when I'm here no more. And it's going to give you all the instructions as to what needs to be done. I gave her instructions on how I wanted my homegoing to be. I didn't want regular homegoing. Hey, go ahead and do a roast on me.
Wow.
I made plans for what that end looked like.
Wow.
And in the moment that I hung up the phone, I heard a voice that said, did I tell you that you were dead? And that voice echoed 3 times. And on the 3rd time, it switched for me. The pain was no longer pain that I was like, oh my God, I'm leaving this realm. The pain was like, okay, come on, bring it. I'm grinding my teeth and I'm smiling through all of what that looks like. And, it's a painful space to be. I cannot walk, talk, chew, swallow, have regular bowel movements.
Wow.
Yeah. So in what that was, I had to own all of my ish, whatever that was in terms of what life represented, how I dealt with it, how I saw things. My view I had to pivot. And it doesn't require a whole lot. It just you just need to pivot a little bit.
Yes.
And in that pivot, a lot changed for me. I was now walking painfully, but
Mhm.
with purpose.
Indeed, indeed, indeed.
Yes. And when I got to the space of being able to realize that what looked like that end was simply a bend, and it's about how you see things, you know, love was all I can actually say. I say, hey, you know, I know that you think that this is your residence, but it's mine. And I need you to find a new home. That doesn't, it's not here.
Wow.
So, in what that was, I give thanks and appreciation for the journey. I give thanks and appreciation for those who supported me, because it also requires you to have a strong support system.
Yes, it does.
You cannot just say that I'm going to do this alone. If you don't have that within your family structure, I would like to, affirm that you can find that within your friend circle, within who you've adopted as family, and be able to actually have those warriors walk with you, which is where I acquired the name Warrior Spirit.
Wow.
Yes, because I decided I was going to stomp on cancer's neck.
Wow.
So you're not going to hold on to me and tell me that this is my end. My end is not that of a demise where it is that I leave here and don't have an impact that's going to help people beyond myself. So my goal in being a wellness warrior, a healer of myself first. Yes. So what I share information is simply me saying, hey, this is what I was able to do. Now you have to be able to lay the track work and do the work required for your truth to unfold with a level of beauty that only you can create. No one can be a creator for you. You have to be the creator of whatever the vision is you are attempting to share with those that you come across in this here life, in this era.
Well said. Wow. She said a lot, and so much insight came through. She saw the light. She started to prepare, called her best friend. The light 3 times, the inner voice. Once you saw that light, you started to walk in the light. And now you become the embodiment of that light. Thank you for sharing that light.
Right.
Because so many times ones might hear certain diagnosis and they think it's a death sentence. And she started out that way. But her ability to go within and hearing that inner voice, and not just hearing, but listening. She reminds me of a conversation, and some might be thinking, what exactly are you talking about, the inner voice? I bear witness to the fact that there's a young man when I was in the church years ago. He used to live in Far Rockaway, and he also was diagnosed with cancer. He had cancer of the throat. He heard an internal voice, and the internal voice said to him, you got 3 days. He vocalized it, and within 3 days, he was gone. That made an impression on me. Within the last 3 days, everything was done for that young man to make his life ease. But in this instance, with her sister, Mrs. Grier Bowen Wright-Bey, she heard something on the opposite side of the scale. And I'm not saying one is right and one is wrong. That young man at that time felt the need to put his house in order. He has a son who carry on his legacy today. Here today in the studio, we have a young lady who said, no, not yet. She's looking now to build her legacy. She's looking now to bring forth her children in a different form and carry out a role that she feel, sense, and know is divine. And she shared some of that wisdom with us today. We're going to go to another commercial, but please do not touch that dial as we come back right here on Universal Pathway. I'm your host, Curtis Douglas Ill. And again, I'm in the studio today with Mrs. Grier Bowen Wright-Bey. We'll be right back. Welcome, viewers in America and those worldwide. This is Universal Pathway, and I'm your host, Curtis Douglas Hill. With our show, viewers get to hear our guests share their life lessons from a universal perspective so others can benefit. You can view us live at MillenniumTV24.com Saturdays from 1 p.m. to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're on all iOS and Android devices via our app. You can also view us on all smart TVs, Sony, Samsung, LG, also on Amazon, Fire Stick, Roku, Apple TV, Horizon Satellite, and most social media such as Facebook and YouTube. Please encourage others to come and view us with an open mind. So Pathways. I'm your host, Curtis Douglas Hill, and again, I'm in the studio with Mrs. Grier Bowen Wright-Bey. Prior to the commercial, we spoke about her ability to turn something that is deemed negative into a positive. A lot of times in life, people go through this journey and they've been given a diagnosis, prognosis, and they feel as if that's the end. You mentioned your name that you now known as Warrior Spirit. And the warrior came forth.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And that's a beautiful thing. And I can honestly attest to this is a sister that I've always seen fighting, not just for herself. I've seen you and I've witnessed you fighting for a lot of people. So much so, whether it be your advocacy for them, shoulder for them in odd situations, so many odd situations. I don't want to speak to all of them, but in keeping it simple, if you call somebody a friend, you show up and you're really consistent to your word. I know you did not mention earlier one of your mentor who is in Trinidad, but you do have a network of folks who you tap into who does some profound work. Yes. I know him as Doc.
Yes.
He operates more so from an energetic, naturopathic perspective. Yes. But you do have access to a circle of people based on your journey that has now formulated a team of people that has allowed you to be a lot more confident in what it is and who it is that you're unfolding. So honest to you for that. And I just want to give you, we have about another 15 minutes to the show. Just give you the opportunity to really speak to, if you want to touch on the chaplaincy, you have that option.
Okay.
But speak to your spirituality, because I'm sensing you draw strength from a source.
I didn't know how much that source existed until I became unwell. So as human beings, we think that we know what we want. We show up and we say, I want to have this white picket fence, and we have all these, we're attached to all of these material things.
Yes.
Yes. And we determine that success looks like what it is that we've been able to acquire. And what this is allowed me to share in is what it means to just navigate with fluidity. Right? The chaplaincy is a space where, again, with under Bishop Maldonado, we have been able to assist people in so many facets to be able to connect themselves to communities and or sources. And also, like you mentioned earlier, the pantry, that is Children of the Light in Canarsie with Pastor Rush. I didn't go to any of these spaces carnally. I allow the universe to utilize me. Yes. In such a way where, again, it's a fluidity. Yes. While I was unwell, I was stopped in my tracks by the universe in seeking help amongst the usual sources, the cancer societies and all these different spaces. Okay. It was literally every time I attempted to go to one of these spaces, the universe stopped me. So I, in turn, I stopped and I listened. And what I heard was different from the noise that we're attuned to on a daily basis. We have been taught that we have to researched so many different things, and about these levels of credibility, and we tend to uh, just have these revelations about what life should look like.
Yes.
I, in turn, have realized that it's just being fluid, it's being honest within yourself, it's stopping long enough to listen to the stillness within self to be able to connect to the divine source. It's not rocket science, but we've made it that.
Yes.
Right? So when it is that you stop, I realized that the world kept moving even though I was no longer actively a part of it. I couldn't do anything.
Wow.
So in what that was, I sat within my femininity, and everything that I needed came into my space. It's a level of consciousness from, you know, there's 6 levels of consciousness. The first one being, or feeling like you're a victim, feeling that everything is happening to you as opposed to for you. And when you recognize that pivot is instrumental in how you how you flow. When you realize to pivot and to experience God within, it changes everything. There's no more worry, you know? And I'd like to say, as women, when we recognize how to sit in our femininity, the kingmen, the gods, they show up in ways where they are now able to play the roles that they were meant to. We have it all mixed up right now, y'all. You know, as women, we think that because we have big bank accounts, because we've been taught to be independent, which really there is no such thing, because we're all interdependent on each other. I don't care if, in fact, you're Oprah Winfrey, you need somebody to be able to do the gardening for you, to be able to cook your food sometimes. We all have to be able to trust each other differently than we are being taught. We're being groomed to be hateful within our spirit energy and to not necessarily find the commonality and to recognize that I am you and you're me.
That's right.
So how I treat you is important because it means that I need to do better in how I treat you.
That's right.
Yes. So when all of these things unfold, and I know I use my hands a lot, so forgive me. Somebody's probably saying, oh my God, this woman, I'm looking at her hands, I can't even hear what she's speaking, what she's saying. But what I'm getting to is that when we connect to the greatness within self and we start to appreciate the very simple things, the way that the water, as it goes down our throat, how it feels, the way that the relationships that you cultivate, how it makes you feel. You know, is it rigid? Is it smooth? It's always going to go great, but is that person imparting something onto you that's useful? You know, how we utilize each other versus using each other, because there's a difference. Yes, how we speak to each other, the tones that we utilize. Is it rigid? You know, how can you receive information when in fact it's done with rigidity, as opposed to, you know, it comes from a place of love, right? You know, when we on our moon call, Queen Esther says, "Come on, y'all. You know I love y'all. I'm gonna come looking for you." You know, and you know when you go to this call, you know, you can go to the mooncall.com. You know, there's a plethora of information there as to the things that we do during the full moon and the new moon. How we actually pay attention to what those things are, and how they show up in our lives on an everyday basis. We haven't even recognized that we have, you know, the world is set on 30 and 31 day cycles, when in fact the natural way of us all being is in 28-day cycles. You can't say that you have a month at 31 when there's only 7 days in a week.
Well said.
Right? So we have to now just utilize our brains, become thinkers, become, you know, that's what they've taken out. That's the element that they've taken out of the schools, our ability to be thinkers and creators.
Yes.
And, you know, just be able to be like sheep and follow a system that really and truly is gearing you up to just be employees. It's time for us to know what it is to become entrepreneurs and to be able to pour back into our communities. It's time for us to be able to actually help our youth, because they are the ones who are going to take care of us, to help them to be able to nurture their brain and to, you know, move away from the toxicity of what has been created within this realm. So as parents, as leaders, as teachers, we have to do better than we've done. So, like you said, there's so much in all of what this is wrapped up in what this conversation is. And I give thanks to you. I give honor to you as a kingman, as a God within what this looks like. Because we have to honor self first.
Most definitely.
Right? So the universe is within us. Everything starts within before
Yes.
it can actually show up without.
Most definitely.
Yes.
And for those might be listening and saying, what exactly is she saying? Referring to him as a god, the goddess. When you look at the word, and I was actually having a conversation recently with a good friend, brother of mine, in regards to this. The word God is Germanic in nature. It comes from the word gut, and it's a verb transitive. So in other words, it's an action word. To do the good, to invoke the good. Some people might say generator, operator, destroyer. So what we generate, we then operate, and we also have the ability to destroy when you look at it from an acronym perspective. Now, in more science, we said the word God, white means purity. Purity means God, and God means rule of the land. So she's saying, based on those definitions, because first you got to define and know in what context are we speaking. As you can see, I too utilize my hands as I'm speaking. So I take no offense when you utilize your hands, because we're animated beings. The physicality is an animation of your consciousness. The purer we are in utilizing the brain now can utilize the insight, i.e. wisdom. Because we know that wisdom speaks from out of way, the highest place of what? Spirit life. So even when I said she's a spiritualist, and as she said, wellness advocate, we draw from the causeless cause, the rootless root from which all things have grown. So that's the wellness of life. So it is her birthright to be well, not dis-ease. It is her birthright to experience ease. But now we manifest physically as a feminine and a masculine energy. It is known that the masculine energy is the seed authoritative energy, and the feminine energy is the creative of what it is that's placed in her. So rightfully so. When the male energy, the consciousness, the authority, quote unquote king, cannot unfold that crown, knowledge, insight, by with the pureness, pure people, we cannot reign supreme. In other words, the pouring out. Because the vessel, i.e. the woman, have now received, and all she's now doing, she's been gifted, she received it, and she's now pouring back into what? Society, i.e. children, etc.
Yes.
So to be able to bring forth that creative energy and how you've now spoken today, honest to you, beloved. And I didn't want anyone to now think we're utilizing these lofty words as if it's not. We are original people.
Yes.
And original people do what? Original things.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. And I give thanks for yourself. I give thanks to my family. My sister stood with me, and there were moments where it is that she said, "Well, hey, what do you want to eat?" And I said, what do you have? And she says, well, you have salad. I said, every day, salad. So, I took out, people don't realize that. And I'd like for families to take into consideration what it means when it is that your loved ones are going through the challenge of disease. Most times they don't understand what that navigation is like. And so they may just continue doing the things that they were doing previously.
Yes.
It is so important for everyone to reach out to, or to basically find within their circles spaces that can help navigate that. It's not just as simple as Popeyes. I wouldn't say
Yes.
Popeyes, but any of these franchises that
Yes.
It's time for us to change. Anything that we tend to reject change, but change allows us to grow. And without recognizing what those things represent, we lose the opportunity to be able to connect to our higher selves. I'm grateful for the people that are show up in my life every single day as helpmates into what my growth is. And let's not be mistaken, growth isn't just always about people showing up in good ways. Even things that we think are negative is an opportunity for us to grow. How we handle that situation is an opportunity to grow.
Well said.
So it's important for us to just continue to build upon everything and find the good in it so that you're not left, or you're not basically now stuck with emotions that don't serve you. So there's nothing bad, everything is good.
And on that note, I just want to take this opportunity as well before our viewers and yourself to say recently, because this is profound how you speak to your life pertaining to being able to move past being diagnosed with quote unquote cancer. You had a brother who passed as well. So condolences to that. You're speaking to the support as to what family is pertaining to that. So you fought on so many levels, and your strength speaks on so many levels because you continue to carry the torch, that light, for so many, because you're telling so many stories. So honest to you, beloved.
Thank you, thanks. I couldn't be without, I couldn't be me without people that support me. I couldn't do the things that I do to help without the support, my support team. I couldn't do many of the things if it wasn't godly, divine, or divinely put and instructed. So I give thanks for my support team. I give thanks to the family circle and cycle, and I give thanks and honors unto you because you have been instrumental in so many ways that, as you sit here, as humbly as he sits here, he's been instrumental. He shows up in ways and spaces that, you would believe, So I give thanks and honor to you, brother.
Honest to you
brother
as well, my sister.
Yes.
Like we said, in the spirit of Traore.
Yeah, in the spirit of Abraham Traore. Yes, we give
With that
honors.
being said, I'm Curtis Douglas Ill, your host right here at Universal Pathway, and I'm in the studio today with Miss Grier Bowen Wright-Bey. Honest to you for viewing us and the show today. We trust that you've learned from some of the wisdom that's been shared by our guests. And we'll see you next Saturday, 1 o'clock to 2 o'clock, right here in Universal Pathway. Peace and love to you all.